Assalamualaikum. Assalamualaikum. How are you all? Can you hear me? Assalamualaikum. How are you all? Can you hear me? Okay. Okay, beta. Assalamualaikum once again. This is our lecture number 10 and we are going to start our new chapter. The chapter name is Pakistan Movement on page number 75. Beta, open your books with page number 75 and you have a notebook with you. You can underline all these important things and you can also write down important points in your notebook. So our chapter name is Pakistan Movement. So you can see the chapter name on your slides also. Open your books, page number 75. So this is all about the Pakistan movement and the struggle of Muslims for an independent country. So we will discuss all the events and all the things and all that eras at that time before the independence of Pakistan, and we will also discuss about the different kinds of movements and different kinds of associations and different kinds of the institutions which were which made it possible that Muslim can get an independent country. So our chapter name is Pakistan Movement, and it is on your book, in your book on page number 75. Okay, let's start our chapter. So beta, this is the map of Pakistan. You can see on your slides. This is the map of Pakistan. So first of all, we will discuss that why Pakistan is a unique country. So it is said that Pakistan is a unique country. So why Pakistan is called a unique country? Pakistan is a unique country for three reasons. It is the only country conceived by a poet. What is it means? It means that it is the only country, no any other country in the world which is conceived by an idea of a poet, by the imaginations of a poet. So, and who was the poet? Allama Iqbal. So, it is the only country, the idea of this country was conceived by a poet, and the poet was Allama Iqbal. Firstly, Allama Iqbal, the poet, conceived that idea that the Muslims should have an independent country. Then, in number two, it became into being through vote of the people. So it came into being through the vote of the people. So all the Muslims, majority of the Muslims were in in this with this point of view that were favor they were going to in this with the point that they should have an other separate country. So it came into being through the vote of Beta Vanya, turn on your camera. So it came into being through the vote of the people, and then all the Muslims were in the favor of the new country and in the favor of Pakistan. So they all agreed at one point, and they gave vote for the Pakistan. So it came into being through the vote of the people. And number three, it was born as a union of two parts. And at the start, when Pakistan came into being, it was it was a union of two parts, and that parts were divided because these parts were divided by 1600 kilometers of land, and that two parts were Bangladesh and Pakistan since from 1947 to 1971. So these were three major reasons. Because of these reasons, Pakistan is a unique country. I repeat, it is the only country in the world that was conceived by a poet, by the idea of by an idea of a poet, Allama Iqbal. And you know that the idea of Pakistan was first presented by Allama Iqbal. Is it clear? The first presented by Allama Iqbal, and this idea was given by Allama Iqbal, and it came into being through the people's vote, and Muslims of South Asia voted for the creation of Pakistan, and in the elections of 1945 and 1946. एक्सक्यूज मी जी। तो क्या हुआ इसमें कि पाकिस्तान का जो आइडिया था वो सबसे पहले इलामा इकबाल ने दिया, और फिर इलेक्शंस हुए 1945 टिल 46. सो it came into being through, firstly, through the idea conceived by Allama Iqbal, a poet, and it is a very unique thing in itself that there in the world there is no any type of country like Pakistan which was conceived by a poet, and the poet was Allama Iqbal, and who firstly presented the idea of a separate country for the Muslims, and secondly it came into being through the people's vote, and the Muslims of South Asia voted for the creation of the Pakistan through the elections which were held in 1945 till 46. Is it clear? These were called the election 1945-46. Is it clear? And thirdly, it was born as a union of two parts that were divided by 1600 kilometers of land. You know that Bangladesh was the part of Pakistan at that time from 1947 till 1971. Is it clear? So this is a very important thing that at the creation of at the time of creation of Pakistan, there were no four provinces like present day. There were two provinces. One is the East Pakistan, and second was the West Pakistan. So East and West Pakistan were divided by 1600 kilometers of land between them. Is it clear? So there were there was a union of two parts which were divided by 1600 kilometers of land, and that two parts were called East Pakistan and West Pakistan. In the 21st century, Pakistan has become one of the most talked about countries in the world because it ruled in international, because its role in international politics has become extremely important. Is it clear? So everyone was talking about Pakistan. So firstly, we discussed that Pakistan is unique country for three reasons. Firstly, conceived by a poet. Secondly, people voted for Pakistan. And thirdly, it was born as a union of two parts, East Pakistan and West Pakistan. So, as I told you that in 21st century, Pakistan has become one of the most talked about countries in the world because its role in international politics has become extremely important. However, since the country is so different from any other in the world, it is often very difficult for foreign experts to understand it because it became as the union of two parts and that were divided by 1600 kilometers of land. So it is very difficult for the world to understand the Pakistan, and it has become even more important for the people of Pakistan, especially the youth, to see themselves in the light of their own past. So the youth of Pakistan have to play a major role in the world of tomorrow. So in this book, it is written that the youth of Pakistan should play an important role as the youth when at the time of Pakistan came into being. Same like that, today's youth should play an important role for the betterment of Pakistan. So this was these were the reasons of because of these Pakistan was and Pakistan is also called a unique country. So now we will discuss firstly the era of 1747 till 1886, and this is the background of all these events which were happened later, and all this is the background, also the background of the creation of Pakistan. So first of all, we will discuss the background of all these things. Firstly, we will see the era of 1747 till 1886. Now you can see on your slides that in 1747, Ahmad Shah Abdali became the king of Ahmad Shah Abdali became the king of Afghanistan. As you studied earlier in your previous chapter also, the birth of New World, we discussed in detail about Ahmad Shah Abdali, and we discussed that in 1747 Ahmad Shah Abdali became the king of Afghanistan, and we also studied that he unified the different tribes of Afghanistan, and he unified all the tribes, scattered tribes who were not united before the before Ahmad Shah Abdali. So in 1747, Ahmad Shah Abdali became the king of Afghanistan, and he unified all the tribes under one flag. So these regions started breaking away from the Mughals of Delhi, who had Mughal of Delhi, and they became completely independent. Gradually, but gradually they became completely independent. So, beta Vanya, turn off your camera. Umar Abdul Rahman, turn off your cameras, beta, both of you. So in 1747, you can see Ahmad Shah Abdali when became the king of Afghanistan. As I told you that he unified all the tribes of Afghanistan, and he started to rule over Afghanistan. At first, the rulers of different regions paid tribute to him, but gradually they became completely independent. So in that time, in 1747, when Ahmad Shah Abdali became the king of Afghanistan, at first the rulers of different regions paid much tribute to Ahmad Shah Abdali, but with the passage of time, they gradually became completely independent. As a result, these areas developed a strong spirit of regional self-determination. Self-determination means they started, which means that the people of small states or province should have the right to make decisions about their own matters. So, as I told you, that Ahmad Shah Abdali unified different tribes, and every tribe had a leader, every tribe had a ruler at that time. But Ahmad Shah Abdali, all these rulers had unified all these rulers, and he convinced them that they should be united. So under his rule, so at first all these rulers of the tribes and different regions paid much tribute, paid much respect, and obey him. But with the passage of time, gradually they became completely independent. As a result, these areas, these regions, or these tribes developed a strong spirit of regional self-determination. Self-determination means these tribes or these regions, whether they are small states, or they were provinces, small provinces or large provinces, they started regional self-determination. It means they all started to take all the decisions themselves, and they did not obey the ruler Ahmad Shah Abdali. So they decided that they should have the right to make decisions for themselves, for their region, for their areas. Is it clear? Everything is clear in your minds? Tell me in your chat box. So this is the picture of Ahmad Shah Abdali. Okay, Muhammad Ali. Okay. So next one, as I told you that all the regions were started to take decision themselves, whether they were the small states or provinces. They thought that they should have the right to make decisions about their own matters. Is it clear? So, self-determination was also reflected in the writings of the great poets of this region in that period. Is it clear? So, self-determination was also seen in the writings of the great poets of this region and of this period, such as Shah Abdul Latif Bhuttai and Sachal Sarmas. At the same time, the relations remained strong between the majority of these regions and Muslims in the rest of South Asia. So when these states and areas started to take their decisions themselves, these all things also reflected in the writings of the great poets of this region in that period or that time, such as Shah Abdul Latif Bhuttai, Waris Shah, and Sachal Sarmas. These are the pictures of, this is the picture of Sachal Sarmas and Waris Shah and Shah Abdul Latif Bhuttai. These are the different poets of different languages. So the self-determination or the sense of taking decisions themselves also reflected in the writings of these poets at that time. At the same time, cultural relations remained also strong between the Muslim majority of these regions and Muslim in the rest of the South Asia. So rest of the South Asian Muslims and the Muslims of this region were also were also took good relations or also had good relations with each other. Is it clear? So they had good relations with each other. For example, the great Sindhi poet Sachal Sarmas wrote poems in Urdu at the time when Mir Taqi Mir was developing the new language in Delhi, Agra. So, if the Sachal Sarmas was the Sindhi poet, but he also, Sachal Sarmast also wrote the Urdu poetry. Purpose is that to tell you all these things, that the self determination was the right that made it possible to the governments and to the states and provinces of different regions, and also the poets of that era, that they can take decisions themselves, and then they can so Sachal Sarmis also took that decision, and as I told you that that he should say something, or his poetry should be in Urdu also, as well as in Sindhi. He was the Sindhi poet, but he wrote his poetry in Urdu also. Is it clear? So, because the relations of that era, the relations of the Muslims of that region, and the relations of the rest of the South Asian Muslims were very close and very good within each other. Is it clear? Within them. So, the relations were very good. So, at that time, also on the other hand, the last king of Delhi, Bahadur Shah Zafar, wrote ghazals in Punjabi. So Bahadur Shah Zafar also wrote some ghazals in Punjabi. Even he was the writer of Urdu poetry. He wrote many ghazals in Punjabi also, which can be seen in the complete work of Bahadur Shah Zafar even today. So we can see all these things in his poetry books, and we can see that Bahadur Shah Zafar also wrote some poems in Punjabi. Is it clear? So this is all about the poetry and the thinking of that era after Ahmad Shah Abdali rule, and in the Ahmad Shah Abdali rule, when the under the Ahmad Shah Abdali's rule, when people got self-determination, and they thought different states and different provinces and people also thought that they had the right to take decisions, and there was a we can see very good relationship between the Muslims of that era and the Muslims of rest of South Asia. So the poets also started the thinking of self-determination, and they decided themselves that they should say something through their poetry in other languages. For example, Sachal Sarmast wrote Urdu poetry while he was a Sindhi poet. Like that, different poets like Bahadur Shah Zafar wrote also some Punjabi poems. Is it clear? So, this is the picture which is about Battle of Plassey. So when the British won their first major victory in South Asia in the Battle of Plassey in 1757, in 1856 they signed a treaty with the Mughal king to gain control of a large part of South Asia. As I told you earlier that British came in South Asia for the purpose of trading, and they entered South Asia by saying that they want to trade in the do trade in the um, in subcontinent. So the British won their first major victory through the Battle of Plassey in 1757, and after that in 1856 they signed a treaty with the and gain a control of large part of South Asia. So with the passage of time, they entered in subcontinent for trading, but the real purpose of British was that to control over all over South Asia. So they were succeeded in 1865, and they Halima beta, and they signed a treaty with the Mughal Empire and gained control of the larger part of South Asia. Is it clear? So after that, Sultan Hyder Ali of Mysore, he was the ruler of Mysore state, and his son Sultan Tipu tried to stop them, tried to stop British. But Sultan Tipu was martyred in 1799. So you can see the picture of the ruler of Mysore on your slides. So Sultan Tipu also tried to stop the British, that but Sultan Tipu was martyred in 1799, and in 1876 the British established their authority over the Khan of Kalar, one of the ruler of Balochistan. So with the passage of time in 1843 and after 1843, in 1849, they captured Punjab and Kashmir and sold the state of Kashmir along with all its citizens to a traitor who had helped them in capturing Punjab. So this is all about the British Empire, how they started rule over the subcontinent. Firstly they defeated the people of subcontinent and Mughal Empire in the Battle of Plassey. Then in 1865 they signed a treaty, and before the signature in 1843, they also captured Sindh, and after that 1849 they captured Punjab and Kashmir, and they also sold all these things, and they also sold Kashmir with the citizens to a trader, so who helped them in capturing Punjab. Soon afterwards, the British started their expanding their territories of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Balochistan. Is it clear? So this is all about, but Sultan Hyder Ali and Tipu Sultan were very brave rulers, and they tried much to stop them, but they failed, and Sultan Tipu was martyred in 1799. Now you can see the picture, and it is a picture of in 1857, when the people of South Asia rose up against the British rule and tried to regain control of their country. This was called the War of Independence, although both Hindus and Hindus and Muslims participated both in the struggle, but the British became more suspicious of the Muslims afterwards and treated them harshly. Beta Vanya and Umar Abdul Rahman, turn off your cameras, beta. Is it clear? So this is very important thing to know about the events of 1857. So in 1857, when before 1857, when British captured almost all the areas and regions of subcontinent, and they signed an agreement, and they signed an agreement about a vast area, and they ruled over a vast area of subcontinent. After that, So after that, in 1857, the British, the people of subcontinent started and tried to regain their country. When British took over the hold all over the subcontinent, then after that, the people of subcontinent tried to regain their country, and they started a war against the British, and this was called a war of independence. And although both Hindus and Muslims participated in this struggle, but they became but after that, they British defeated them, and the same year, people of South Asia when started a war. This was called the War of Independence, and later on, and this was called, or at that time, mutiny. Is it clear? And after that, it was called the War of Independence from Muslim sides. British said British called this war mutiny, but from the Muslim side, it was called the War of Independence. Muslims and Hindus both participated in this war. Although both participated, but the British became much suspicious of Muslims afterwards, and they usually treated harshly with Muslims, because Hindus said to the British that they were not the responsible for taking part in the war, and Muslims said them to took part in the war. So they said sorry to the British, and British forgave the Hindus, but they were more suspicious of Muslims afterward and treated them harshly. So in 1863, a prominent historian, you can see this is the picture of Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, and you can see that the picture of Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, he had a great participation in the struggle of Pakistan in 1863. A prominent historian of South Asia, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, gathered several Muslim leaders and proposed that they should start movement in order to strengthen themselves as a nation. So he gathered Muslims through, he started in Muradabad and in Ghazipur. He started first institutions, schools. He started schools, and then he started in 1875. He founded a school at Aligarh, which became a college, and after 2 years later, and after that, it became a university. So this is the participation of Sir Syed Ahmad Khan in the history. So he started giving education, English, and he started giving English education. He started teaching English as well as Arabic subjects in his schools. And he said to the Muslims that when they started to send their children in the schools, then then it is being possible for them to take freedom from the British. So he said the Muslims that they should start a movement, and he also founded many schools, and most importantly in 1875 he started a school in Aligarh, which was later became a college, and after that it became Aligarh University, and which is present today also in India, in Aligarh. So like that, Hindus also started their organization there, and in 1885, a group of Hindus who had become influenced by the education offered at English universities of Calcutta, Madras, and Bombay founded a political party under the leadership of retired British officer A.O. Hume. So this was called Indian National Congress, and the Congress claimed that India was a single country, and it was, and Hindus has only only majority, and they are in majority, and this is the this is the organization of Hindus. But this is wrong. There is also the Muslims were also in majority at that time in India. So the Congress also claimed that Indians are the single nations, and they denied that there were Muslims also in a great strength, or also the Muslims have also the majority. So they denied and said that Indians are only the single nation. This was unacceptable to the Muslims, and in December 27, 1886, 61 Muslims from various parts of South Asia gathered at Aligarh under the flag of Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, and agreed that all decisions in future by consulting each other. For this purpose, they founded the Mohammedan Educational Conference. It was also the part of the institutions of Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, named Mohammedan Educational Congress, and later it was called Mohammedan Educational Conference. So it was the aim of this Congress was that the Muslims should come from the different parts of subcontinent, and they will take the decision for their future betterment, for their struggle. So under the flag of Mohammedan Educational Congress. So this is all about our today's lecture. So beta, take a review of your lecture, and tell me your answers in chat box. And the question is, state two reasons that make Pakistan a unique country. Hurry up, beta. State two reasons that make Pakistan a unique country. And second question is, who was Sir Syed Ahmad Khan? Who was Sir Syed Ahmad Khan? Hurry up. Yes. Okay, beta, hurry up. Hurry up, beta. Give me your response in chat box. State two reasons that make unique Pakistan a unique country, and who was Sir Syed Ahmad Khan? Yes, yes, Vanya, well done. It is the country conceived by a poet, and the country conceived by the poet, and it was a union of countries. Countries, not countries. It was a union of two parts. Is it clear? So next question is, what were the two important institutions founded by Sir Syed Ahmad Khan? What were the two important institutions founded by Sir Syed Ahmad Khan? Name two institutions I had told you. Hurry up, beta. Yes, Vanya, well done. Muhammad Ali, good. Halima, hurry up. Well done. Time is too short, beta. It came into being through vote of the people. Well done. Okay, beta. Read this chapter very carefully and underline important lines. So that's all for today. Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.